want you.
Medal of Honor comes from a time in gaming when health pickups were still a norm and analog control was still in its infancy. It's a sequel/prequel to the first critically acclaimed Medal of Honor released on the beloved PlayStation 1. This is also the World War II game where they included dancing dogs, driving tanks and crazy knights chasing you in a castle. Yeah, let that sit for a while. It was released in the year 2000 when the games went from looking like this, whatever the F this is, to more a realistic look. Medal of Honor Underground was caught in a really weird time to be released, but it was just in the right time to let developers have fun with the game because the other half of the team was working on the next big Medal of Honor for the PlayStation 2. But the problem is that somehow it really feels like many people don't talk about this game, despite being generally good. Once again, I wanted to do a retrospective about some games from my childhood. Take a coffee, sit back, relax and enjoy the new episode of the RPG show, where we dive into the world of Medal of Honor Underground and see why it's so underrated. You take role of Manon Baptiste, a hot-looking French girl looking like she was pulled directly from Victoria's Secret show and sent to go on an undercover mission for the sake of the French Revolution. Ain't that a great description for a character, am I right? You were mostly known for working with Jimmy Patterson and the OSS in the first game. Our old guy Jimmy was the main guy in the first game where we did all crazy things with him. And don't be mistaken, you will also do some crazy stuff.
Wait, what?
In this sequel, I promise you. Taking the lead to be a female protagonist in a first-person shooter game was somehow a weird choice at the time, as the wars always displayed that only men fought in them. But this was a really fresh take on the game industry, what I can appreciate. Even if the team feared it could hurt the sales. The game was divided into few main chapters, and each chapter includes few smaller missions. As you start off to help the French resistance, this is what I meant. The game is both a sequel and a prequel because you will jump in years throughout the campaign. Much like in the first game, every mission will give you a real world war footage to look at, plus some extra letters where the mission will be explained and what's your objective, so you don't do some stupid things in the enemy front lines. The footage added much realism to the game and gave it some extra layer of depth and immersion. As you sit and listen to what your commander is telling you, it really feels you are now introduced to how to get the job done as fast and as clean as possible. What is welcome this time, they really switched the settings in the game and throw you to many different countries, what acted as a breath of fresh air. Places you are visiting are of course Paris, more precisely to be the missions set under the Eiffel Tower, and you will be thrown to a secret mission in Africa where you get the instructions to do as much sabotage as possible while being undercover, with a camera, which is far much better than the papers like in the first game because of three simple things. First, the camera is obviously a way to get around as you are a reporter. Second, you can have fun with it and photograph the enemy and even blind them. But third and most importantly, you can photograph enemies' maps, and these are the things that make Underground really shine in my eyes. But after that, you will need to infiltrate the German castle where you got a Wolfenstein vibe going on. I don't know if it was initially meant that, but okay. But as soon as I saw the knights wielding medieval swords and shields, I thought I missed something in the history lessons. This game was obviously built on the same engine as the first game, where they added only new animations and textures. But the animation was for the time amazing, as many games didn't feature so many animations of how the enemies are behaving after being shot, and I can only give them credit for that. For a PlayStation 1 game, it has some solid graphics, but looking at the soldiers, they are looking more blocky than I remembered. A quick note is that I only played the first few missions as a kid, because somehow my CD was looking like like a hedgehog did a breakdance on it, if you know what I mean. But it's easily seen how they pushed the engine to its max, comparing it to the first game where you only fought against maximal 2 soldiers at once. This time you will be surrounded with 4 or more enemies at once, which mostly leads to FPS drops, what is at time really annoying. But again, I love how they try to ramp it up in this sequel in every aspect of the game. One great thing is also how they use the dark or the sandstorm as a way to limit the view sight of the player, much like in the Silent Hill games. With the fog, they simply try to push the hardware to its limits. The gameplay is something that is still awkward in this game, mostly because we are talking about a gaming era where the 3D FPS games were a novelty on the console and the controls were very clumsy, so to say. But even then they had a proper twin analog settings to play with. But if you play the first Medal of Honor, it's the same thing here. So running and gunning isn't an option because it's really bad, and the best thing you can do is to stop and aim and shoot, what most enemies will also do, so it's a fair fight to an extent. But the problem comes when the guys with the machine guns come around, because they can basically take half of your health in 1 second. They can also spawn from time to time in weird places, which can be a bit cheap, but if you're watching your step and holding your guard up, you won't be surprised. Don't mistake Medal of Honor Underground to be an easy game. I mean, I didn't die in the first 10 levels, but again, like in the first game, I have also made a review about this game, and if you're interested, I will link it down below. And to point it out, the review aged like a piece of cheese on a hot day. Just saying. Now, the difficulty spike is really felt heavily after the second half of the game, and you really need to watch out the enemies because they're getting tougher and better armed. On the other hand, everything is fair. The enemies need also time to reload. If they shoot, they need to stop, and even if the guys with the Panzerfaust want to shoot you, they need to pause for a moment before shooting, and so on. So the fights don't feel unfair, and a welcome addition is also how they included, and I think the first game on the PlayStation that included this, it's a rail shooting segment. It was weird, but most importantly fun. But I need to mention once again how the enemies are behaving is just amazing. Enemies will try to kick the grenade back at you or throw them back at you, sometimes jumping on the grenade to save others, and they are actively seeking cover and trying to shoot you from the cover. That's really some advanced things, because we are talking still about a PlayStation 1 title here, don't you think? Plus, now you can see the enemies jumping over the fences and dropping from balconies, and you need to be aware of your surroundings. This can be also explained as a way to spawn enemies, and I dig it. They also included some allies on your side, or the mission where you need to free the captain, which lockpicks the prisoners to release them. But the impact the player makes is just outstanding, as shooting different body parts will result in different animations, plus the noises of your weapons are top notch, and this really blends together perfectly to give you an enjoyable ride. And these are some of the things why Medal of Honor is such a great game. I really started to appreciate the music Medal of Honor has. It's pure perfection, as it's based on classical orchestral music, and it really sets the tone of the game. Some of the songs are reused and recomposed by the man himself, Michael Giancello, and once again he did a great job of composing the soundtrack for the game, and it really stands the test of time. I get how a game like Doom is better with a heavy metal dubstep soundtrack, and I don't think the soundtrack of Doom will last so long. But let's see in 20 years when I make a retrospective of the Doom game. And this soundtrack sounds amazing 20 years later. One thing I need also to address about the soundtrack that was also included in the first game was the thing that the game didn't have so much voice acting, or better to say almost none, just a few phrases here and there, but they included voices and shouts. in the music, and it really gives a game a special atmosphere. To say it once more, we are still talking about a PlayStation 1 game, and this was a clever way to ramp up the tension into a game. The sad thing is maybe that nostalgia is speaking out to me, but I enjoyed the soundtrack in the first game a bit more. But Underground has also its moments, like how they include the female singer in the parts of you returning into France. The sad truth is that many didn't experience this game, and probably never will, because jumping back to a 20-year-old FPS console shooter isn't everybody's cup of tea, and I can respect that. As I created this channel, I still wanted to show some older games some love, and that's a thing on YouTube. If you're an unknown channel and talk about an old game nobody cares about, it can end well. But for the few people watching this, I can assure you, if you're looking to play a good FPS that aged better than it should, you will find many enjoyment in this game. Sometimes the hit detection around the corners can screw you, sometimes are the enemies placed in high places or beneath you, which is really clunky to aim around.
Dude, you shot him in the dick. Huh? Shooting a guy in the dick? That's just weak.
Sometimes the problem was how they, for whatever reason, ditched the rifle and gave you a sniper rifle, which is useless because of the draw distance. But again, when you see the real war footage, a solid crafted story around it, combined with the orchestral soundtrack that really heats up your blood while you're running away from the enemy forces, you will see its charms. Now the last thing is the weird bonus mission they threw in, and I freaking loved it. It caught me so off guard. I thought this was actually how the story progressed. You take once again the role of Jimmy Patterson, and he looks like Nathan Drake in the unofficial 5th installment. And you go back to the castle and do some crazy weird stuff. This segment should be cut from the final game, but they include the assets and made a bonus level, and they send you to a dog haunted castle where you will see some crazy robot soldiers who explode when they are dead, and to the crazy knights that chase you around the castle, and the final mission where you assemble a nutcracker to fight on your side against other nutcrackers.
It's tough for you to be that. Woo!
This mission was hard as hell, but I really didn't care about it, and I really enjoyed this bonus mission. The main story was generally good. We had more stuff to do, more sabotage, more stealing, destroying things. It's all there, but the game dares to take the freedom and give the player a smile with a goofy bonus mission at the end. What I really enjoyed, and how the game is packed with videos behind the scenes, is a welcome addition. I hope I show you why this game is underrated, and it's worth playing or revisiting if you didn't play it a long time. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button. If you didn't enjoy it, smash that dislike and leave me some feedback. I would appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe. That's all from me now, and I see you in the next one. Viva la Resistance!
France, a travel guide for lovers. Visit the inspiring Eiffel Tower, sacred Notre Dame Cathedral, quaint villages, intimate cafes, romantic surroundings, and the utmost hospitality Europe has to offer.